Hello, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Random Thoughts from me, O. Ted Bear. Now, I was spending some time on YouTube watching the Philip DeFranco show, and he happened to mention that thanks to the public shootings back in May, that somebody's actually starting to blame the movies again. And I looked at this and I'm like, really? We're starting this again? Blaming the movies? Wasn't that the whole plot line of Scream? You know, a movie about serial killers blaming the movies for being serial killers. Although, we also blame video games, internet, guns, and that damn rock and roll music! You know, I started thinking about some of this stuff when the movie Transcendence came back in April. My thoughts centering around that BS, that's, technophobia. Alright. Technophobia is real. It is the fear or dislike of advanced technology or complex devices, especially computers. And I thought the origin was going to be sometime around the original Tron back in 1981, but apparently I was off by about a generation. Although the concept of technophobia actually gets traced back to the Industrial Revolution back in the 1600s. Now, back here in the 21st century, people in shock over the public shooting back in May, someone has put forth the opinion that movies creating a unrealistic expectation were to blame. And using and I use this term loosely, logic, that the sexual frustration was part of the stated reason for the rampage. But I want to talk about the rather big hole in that theory. I mean, really, when we blame these things, we're scapegoating. And there's only one time where scapegoating actually worked, and that was Germany during the 30s and 40s. But I digress. Now, we've blamed movies before. Hell, we blamed video games. We've been blaming video games since Columbine back in April of 1999. We've blamed Dungeons and Dragons, with the dice and the pencils and, We blame guns. Hell, we blame Justin Bieber and Canada. Has any of it worked? Let me think. No. Seriously. So, I think it's time to look past Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the best. I mean, come on. This is hardly enough to call anything gospel. Even what I say. Google it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Now, if I remember my statistic courses correctly, to prove something correct through statistics, the number of people affected by condition X must be greater than your margin of error. Now, margin of error is usually about 2%, roughly. Now we take one confused and frustrated young man who committed this unforgivable act. Now we divide that, since we're talking about movies, we'll divide it by 5,000. A good-sized movie theater. Take that one person and divide it, and you get 0.0002, which gives you 0.02%. Less than 1%. Okay? Now, it's given that, it's really hard to take this seriously. Now, the second part of this is time. Now, we've been looking to protect our children from evil ever since we've had them. It is a basic human response. You want to protect the kids. Always. You hurt a kid, somebody is going to push a pineapple. Never mind. Now, how often are we going to shake our fists at these red herrings and do nothing but give them bunches of free publicity? Shock jocks in the 80s, gangster rappers in the 90s. How many of these things that we just absolutely can't stand have we given a foothold because we decide to create a whole bunch of uproar about it? Do that research for yourself. But instead of using these time-worn excuses to explain the mental breaks of others, we're really going to have to ask the uncomfortable questions. And if we really are going to change anything, we're going to have to try some new things. Because what we've been doing, the way we've been doing it, is the very definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is to do something over and over again. Make no changes. And expect a different outcome every time. Tell me I'm wrong. This has been Random Thoughts from me, O. Ted Bear. And as always, I hope I helped.